Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new, please click like and subscribe. And if you click the little bell in the lower right-hand corner, you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. I want to introduce you to Jim Thompson. He vanished mysteriously during Easter vacation in 1967 at Tanah Rata, Malaysia. So here's a picture of him. And this is a picture of the bungalow where he was staying. That day he disappeared, he went to church. He was staying, this is called the Moonlight Bungalow, is where he stayed at. And here's another picture of him with his cockatoo. He was quite well known. He took a failing silk business and created a thriving business. In fact, he had celebrities and quite a few famous people who purchased his silk. In fact, the original Ben-Hur movie used his Thai silk in that. Now, this is the last known picture, assuming that it was some kind of picture picnic, maybe taken after church. He took a short walk, and people said they had heard him walking on the gravel toward the trail, and it was common for him to go hiking. He loved to hike, and he never returned. And they had the most massive search with hundreds of people that lasted 11 days because he was quite famous, and found nothing, not even a trace. Now, there's a few suspects. This is probably really a slight chance of this, but the ambassador Charles Yost married a Polish wife, Irina Yost, and it was allegedly rumored that Mr. Thompson was having an affair with her. He also had an ex-lover, which could be a potential. He could have gotten eaten by a tiger. He could have committed suicide. He could have gotten bit by a snake, or, something happened in the jungle. So there are a lot of theories as to what happened to this man. And we're going to take a look at what the cards have to say. Now, the interesting thing about this is Dr. Llewellyn, I believe his name is, Tumlin, went over there to research this, and the police showed him some email which he thought was very strange, and it said, in response to the theory if Malaysian gangs did it, it said police contacted all gangs and they had no knowledge of his disappearance, and they just accepted that. And that was, he said that was the craziest email that he's ever seen. And then when he asked for the files, all of the files are destroyed. They're all destroyed. Everything's destroyed. And he had a little bit of trouble with that. So it does seem very strange. And here's the strangest thing about it is shortly after he disappeared, his older sister was brutally murdered in Pennsylvania in 1967. Nothing was stolen. She lived alone, and the case is still unsolved. Her son committed suicide also after that. So suspicious. Such a crazy unsolved case. So you know what? This is a great case to dive in and look at the cards. And I've already pulled the cards on these, and I hope that you can see them. So the question that I asked the cards is, what happened to Jim Thompson the day he disappeared into the forest? And what we have first here is we almost look like somebody is being held captive, okay? Because see, there's swords on the back. There's weapons on the back. It's a cloaked person, and there's someone sitting in the, a makeshift boat, which could have been totally real for back then. And then we have like a prisoner, right? Here's the thing here, like some ruins taken, and they were a prisoner. And then we've got the world card, and that's kind of was a mystery to me until I did further research and found out that the sister had been murdered. And then I realized that this was the family tree. So he was murdered, the sister was murdered, his nephew committed suicide, allegedly. And then we have on here finances. And this is like having, now he was wealthy, so it wasn't his finances, but look at the people flying and the finances. So there's something going on here. There's something going on here that has to do with money. And then we've got the magician, manipulation, and the magician can make things disappear. He's got all the tools. And the only reason I say that is because look who's next to the magician, hiding. I don't believe will be bones ever found or any evidence. I mean, this has been over 50 years since this happened. And then we've got, this is a very interesting card. I'll see if I can bring it closer. Like they were watching his place. See, they were watching, like he was being watched. He was being watched and monitored. And then the next card we have, it kind of feels like this is Eight of Pentacles. It's money again. It's money. Like there could have been maybe there was no ransom offered for him, but there could have been money exchanged to have him taken out. Okay. And this kind of looks like she's like a little bit of a prisoner. And then we've got people discussing, I think, look at this. I think that someone knows what's going on, but they didn't talk all these years. In fact, they're probably not even alive anymore, or maybe they had an idea of what was going on because it looks like some kind of a conference here. The last cards that I pulled were the Hermit and the Judgment, because I wanted to know if he was just escaping and that he lived, and it doesn't look like he did. So this is the boxes, could be like coffin. It kind of reminds me of a coffin. Hermit is endings, so it does look like he passed away. And then I asked if the government had anything to do with it, like the government, FBI, or any high official. And there you have it. I got the King of Wands. Now, when Dr. Llewellyn Toomlin did his presentation, he just concluded that he thinks that he just encountered something in the forest and passed away. He got lost. There's 90 miles. But this man was in the CIA. He was trained. He's trained to survive in lots of conditions. So I think he had to say that because he didn't want to draw any attention to himself in a way, unwanted attention. But this is definitely a king, had knowledge, and this is the government. I asked if the government or the ruling people had anything to do with this, and you pull the king. So to me, and then the family was involved, like the oldest sister. They may have discovered that he was trying to get information to the oldest sister somehow, or they had traced him to contact with her, so they decided to take her out also. And it's so interesting that her death was unsolved. And then the son mysteriously committed suicide. That's allegedly. So this is a very interesting case. And what I can do now is actually ask if Jim Thompson can come through the steampunk and we can actually communicate with him. So I'm going to clear out these cards and we're going to say, are we able to communicate with Jim Thompson from the other side? This is what I love about tarot, is that you can communicate with people. Ooh, there he is. It comes up as a magician again. And look at the pentacle again. Some organization. So this is organization. It's an organization. Wow. So it was a strategic organization. Wow, this is fascinating. It's almost like he didn't get very far on the path and he was handed over to them. Look at organization. It's handed over to them. Didn't get very far on his path, and he was handed over to the organization. That's fascinating. Do you feel like any justice was done? Did anything happen because of this to the people who were responsible? High up officials, because they're high up officials. And wow, it's almost like like his remains or whatever were flown out. Like they were flown out, or he was flown out before he died. No, what? He's not in the jungle. They didn't bury him in the jungle. Yeah, he was flown out. He was in another location. That's fascinating. The details that he's able to give. And this is just the Queen of Wands. This just indicates that I think this is one of the women that he knew. Probably his ex-lover knew what was going on or suspected, and she did take over his house there for a few months while he was missing. And just because he's bringing her up, it does make me wonder if she kind of suspected what happened to him. Oh yeah. And he was definitely killed, because there's the death card. He was definitely killed. So that is fascinating. There's a lot. You know what I say about the tarot is everything's alleged, right? And it's all based on your lens of how you understand the cards. And no reader's perfect, but it certainly does put out a theory here that's very interesting that we can pay attention to if we want to. So I don't know about you. You do your own theories. This is the information. It's an interesting case to review, and I highly suggest that you look at this YouTube video that was done by Dr. Llewellyn Tumlin, because it's very thorough. And he flew over there. It's amazing. I think there's several books written on this case. So it is quite fascinating to listen to this, but according to the cards, it does look like this was an organized murder. So I don't know if I'm going to even make that theory on here. I think I'll just present this to you, show you the cards, and then leave it up to you for your own conclusion. Thank you for watching this mystery.